So you've been doing this content creator thing for a while and you're starting to wonder, when am I going to get paid? If you're at all familiar with the influencer marketing industry, then you'll know as a content creator, paychecks don't just fall out of the sky. You need to go out there, pitch, negotiate, and seal the deal with brands in order to turn this whole creator thing into a business. As a side note, there are other ways to monetize your audience as a creator that don't involve paid content like brand partnerships. So if you want a full video going into different methods for monetizing your presence as a creator, let me know in the comments, because in this video we are going to specifically talk about brand deals, but I could totally tell you about other ways to do it too. So let me know if that sounds interesting. But like I said, in this video we are talking about brand deals. I'm going to be sharing with you the ultimate beginner guide to brand deals as a content creator, specifically on Instagram. We're going to talk about how to find them, how to negotiate to get paid what you're worth, and how to create a system that will turn this into a reliable and recurring revenue stream for you. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie and I'm here to be your guide and fellow traveler along this creator journey. Part of the journey of being a content creator is going from it being a hobby for you into it being a business for you, if that's something that you're trying to do. I've definitely had my share of ups and downs along this journey. I was definitely a hobbyist content creator for 9 years or so before I really started to turn this into a business, and I did it in multiple different ways. But I did my first ever brand deal here on YouTube back when I had about 2,500 subscribers. And trust me, since then I have learned a lot about really what it takes to make brand deals a real part of your business and not something that just kind of happens to you and you don't really know how they found you or how it happened. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what I've learned and how I've turned this into a reliable part of my business as a content creator. Now, the first step is obviously finding the brand deals. And this is probably the biggest question that I get from beginner creators, and the biggest wondering people have is like, okay, I know brand deals exist. How do I get them? There are really 3 main ways that you can do this. One is by attracting brands to you, getting them to come to you and offer you opportunities. And 2 is by going out and cold emailing and pitching brands that you want to work with. And the 3rd is using a platform like Humanz, the sponsor of today's video. Don't worry, stay tuned, because we're going to get into all the detail of how you can get brands to come to you and how you can convince brands to work with you when you're pitching them. But first, a quick message about Humanz. Humanz is a platform designed by online content creators for online content creators. Humanz is not just your typical influencer gig job board, but instead it's a community of other creators that you can connect with, learn from, and collaborate with. You might just find your new creator bestie by swiping through the other creators on the Humanz app. But of course, there are also earning opportunities too. You can connect with top brands and submit your bid to participate in their campaign. Let me show you how easy it is. You can scroll through the campaigns tab, and if you come across something that suits your audience and your brand, all you have to do is tap into it, and you can quickly see what the budget is, what the tasks involved are, how many followers you need to participate, and some information about the brand. It very clearly lets you know what you need to include, what you shouldn't include, and all other kinds of info. So all you have to do is set your bid and wait to hear back from the brand. Humanz' mission is to make it safer and easier for creators to work with brands in a more transparent and human environment. Plus, Humanz is a super safe and secure way to receive payments for your brand deals too. You can download the app and start creating your profile today, totally for free. Humanz is currently available in 5 countries around the world, including Brazil, India, Turkey, South Africa, and Israel, and they are currently expanding to the US. So head over to the link in my description to sign up and create your profile and start connecting with brands today. So how do you get brands to come to you? This is really like the magical place to be as a content creator, when you can open up your inbox in the morning and have brands streaming in asking you to work with them. Now, it takes a while to get to that point, but there's a few strategies that you can put in place to start to get those brands coming to you. The first is really optimizing your Instagram profile so that you can be found via search. You can do this by making sure that your bio includes keywords, that you're using certain hashtags in your posts, and that you're using certain keywords in your posts as well. You've got to think about this from the perspective of a PR agency. Like, let's say I work for an agency that's trying to book influencers for campaigns with big brands, right? I'm going to go to Instagram and I'm going to start searching keywords for the kind of people we want to work with. at my imaginary PR agency. So I might start searching for digital nomads or female van lifers or social media educators or TikTok experts or whatever it might be. So you want to make sure that you're using keywords that pertain to you and the kind of content that you make so that hopefully you would show up in one of those searches. You could add your title or a description of yourself to your name in your Instagram bio. And you can also just describe yourself in your bio, making sure that you're dropping some of those keywords so that you'll show up when people search for you. In addition to optimizing your Instagram profile for search, it can also be really effective to have like a website or a blog where you describe yourself in detail using some of those buzzwords that PR agencies might be looking for, so that when this PR agency that we're imagining goes out looking for your kind of creator, they can find you. It also just makes you seem more professional if you have some kind of a website or a portfolio, so you have that landing page on Google that they can come to. That's not just your Instagram profile. And finally, you want to make sure that once these PR agencies do discover you by search, that you've got a good portfolio of content up on your Instagram so that they can start to imagine what it would be like to work with you. They can see that your content looks good, it's professional, it's high quality, you've got good engagement. If you haven't already, consider sharing about some of the types of products or services that you might want to collaborate with. Make some content about them just organically, like not that you're getting paid to do it, but just genuinely share about stuff that you love. So then when these potential PR agencies come to your profile, they can see what the kind of content you would make for their brand would look like. Just as a random example, let's say I wanted to partner with Sony or something. Maybe I would make a carousel on my page talking about why I love my Sony a6600 or something like that. So then when my Sony PR agency that I'm imagining comes to my profile, they see, oh, this is what it would look like for Katie to do a partnership with us. You see what I'm getting at? So it's all about setting yourself up to be found, and then once you're found, making sure that you seal the deal by showing off your professional content. If you want to learn more about this, then you should definitely check out the podcast interview that I did with Kaya Marriott. Honestly, a lot of what I'm sharing with you here is a summary of what she shared with me. She is like the expert in brand deals for small creators. She was able to bring in over $70,000 in brand deal revenue with less than 10,000 followers on Instagram. So if that catches your attention like it did for me, then you're going to want to go listen to this episode of the Creator Club podcast where I interviewed her and she shared all of her secrets, because that's where a lot of my knowledge on this particular topic is coming from. So go check out Kaya's YouTube channel, Creating with Kaya, and this interview that I did with her over on the Creator Club podcast to learn more about all this. The second way to get your first brand deal is to just go out there and start pitching to brands. Now, this is definitely going to be the more brute force, just hard work kind of difficult option, but it's going to be faster than the attracting brand deals option. I would recommend doing these at the same time because getting your profile optimized is going to, over the long term, help you start to attract more brand deals. And in the meantime, you can start pitching to try to kickstart that and get it going. What I would recommend doing is start by making a list of brands that you would love to work with, like make a spreadsheet or something, list out the names of the brands, add a column for where you might add in the contact at that brand, and then maybe a column for notes on whether or not you've reached out to them yet or how many times you followed up, so you can keep track of your progress. Then you're just going to put your investigator hat on and really go out there and try to find out how to contact these people, because I'll admit this is the hardest part. So a few options here. You can go to the brand's Instagram page. You can try to DM them and say, hey, I'd love to work together on some content. Could you give me the email address of your brand partnerships manager or of your influencer marketing manager or whatever? Obviously, if the brand is really huge and they have a ton of followers, they might not see their DMs and they might not get back to you. So another thing you can do is head over to LinkedIn and start doing some creeping, looking for people who work at the company. And if you can see what their job title is, it might indicate to you that they're like the influencer partnerships manager or even a social media manager, depending on the size of the company, is somebody that you can start to reach out to. Oftentimes people will not have their company email listed on LinkedIn, so this is where the guessing game starts. So a lot of brands, they'll have their emails formatted like name@brand.com or first initial last name @brand.com. You might just have to try a bunch and see if anybody gets back to you. Like I was saying, this is kind of the brute force option. This takes a lot of time and it's not always the most effective, but it's something you can do to start reaching out. And if you're not sure what to write in these emails, I've got you covered. I've got a brand pitch template linked in the description. It's totally free. You can just sign up for my email list and grab it. Basically, you can just copy and paste it, change out the important details, and start sending this out to people that you find a pitch to. I would really recommend starting with smaller to medium brands. As a creator with, say, less than 10,000 followers, you're probably not going to secure like a Nike or like Sony brand deal. So try to really brainstorm what are some medium-sized brands, maybe that you've seen work with other small creators that you could start pitching to. Now, when you're starting to pitch brands or have brands come to you and you're ready to negotiate your prices, one great strategy to start with is creating a media kit. You may have heard this term before. Basically, a media kit is just a, several page PDF document where you run through what your brand partnership packages are, what the prices are, and then usually you provide a bit of an overview and some stats on your audience and demographics. Basically, all the information that a brand would need to decide whether or not they want to work with you as a content creator. Now, I'm going to show you mine as an example, but just as a disclaimer, prices are always changing. Like, I'm constantly editing this and changing it depending on how busy I am, like how many brand deals I want to have. If I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I'll up my prices so that I get like less of them, but it's worth more to me to do them. Or I might even change them depending on the brand I'm sending my media kit to. I'll be honest, if it's a brand that I know is going to have a lower budget, but I really like their product and I really want to work with them, I'll lower my prices to make it work with what I think is going to work for them. Or if it's a brand that I know has a big budget and I'd like to work with them, but your girl knows she can get her coin, I'll up the price for them too. So just so you know, this is not a static document. It's always changing, and I encourage you to treat your media kit the same way. So you can see on this first page, I just have a photo of me and some information about my background, like what I talk about as a creator, who my audience is, and what their demographics are. Then getting onto the second page, on the right-hand side, I've got information about all my social platforms. So my subscribers on YouTube, my Instagram followers, my TikTok followers, and my email subscribers. And here you can see I have my social content packages listing what my YouTube brand integration rate is, my Instagram story rate, my Instagram feed rate, all of that stuff. And like I said, just because this price is listed here does not necessarily mean that the last brand deal you saw from me on any of these platforms that I got paid that much. Like I said, it's always changing. This is just my ideal numbers right now. Moving on to my next page, I've got information about my podcast, the stats, and again, pricing for podcast ads, that kind of thing. And finally, I've got just some information about why YouTube is such a good investment to make, because it's evergreen content. It's going to live for a long time on the platform, has a much longer shelf life than social content, and also just talking about being a professional social media marketer and video creator and the quality of the content that I provide. I would recommend creating something similar for yourself, because being able to send this to a brand is going to make you look more prepared and professional and answer some of the questions that they'll likely have in your email exchange. So you can kind of get that all taken care of with one clean and nicely designed document. Now let's talk about the awkward part, negotiating. Once you send over your prices, there are really three main things that could happen. Option one, they accept right away. They say, that's great, let me give you X number of dollars to do that Instagram post. If this happens, first of all, celebrate, yay, you've secured a brand deal. But second of all, know that it probably means that your prices are too low. If you're never getting any pushback from brands with your rates, then it means that they are a steal of a deal. So consider raising them next time. The second option is that they might push back and ask for a lower price. Decide before you continue the conversation what the lowest rate you would go to. I mean, don't tell them, but have it in the back of your mind, where you're willing to negotiate down to. Then I would respond with something like this. I understand if $1,000 is out of your budget. However, I know that the content I create and the connection I have with my audience is super valuable. I have an engagement rate of 10% and my average reach is 10,000 per post. Considering this, would you be able to make $750 work? That's just an example of how you might address somebody who's asking for a better deal. You can accept hey, maybe my original rate isn't high enough, but I know that I offer X and Y benefits. With that in mind, you think you could make this rate work? Basically counter offering them with something in between what they asked for and what you had originally quoted. Of course, they might come back and say, oh, I get that, but we really can only give you 500. Could you make it work? And at that point, that's where that previously decided price is important, because you need to decide, okay, if you won't do it for less than 600, at that point you need to tell them, sorry, it's not going to work. And it's important to stick to your guns on this because you don't want to end up letting yourself be negotiated down to a rate that you're not happy working for, because it's going to come through in the content. You're not going to feel encouraged or inspired to create something really good, and the results just aren't going to be there. So it's a lose-lose. Make sure that you stick by whatever your kind of lowest rate is. The third thing that might happen is they agree to your rate, but then they slip in that they're also going to want usage rights and exclusivity. Sometimes brands will be pretty sneaky and just throw this into the contract, and they'll say, sounds great, we're agreed, just sign this contract and send it over. And then they might sneak in there, we have usage rights in perpetuity, and also you can never work with another brand in our niche ever again. Now, at this point, you need to decide how much extra you're going to charge for those privileges that you're awarding the brand. Like if you're telling them that they can use the content that you made in any way that they want on their platforms, they should really be paying for that. You could start by doing something like you allow usage of your content for 30 days at a rate of, say, 15% of the original package price, or whatever number you feel comfortable quoting. But I do think it's important that you add another charge on top of your rate if they want to be able to just use your content and post it anywhere they want. Now, if they ask for exclusivity, you have to kind of weigh out your opportunities and what other work you might be missing out on if you agree to it. If they ask for, 30 days of exclusivity, that's one thing. To not work with another brand in their industry for a month, probably reasonable. If they ask for exclusivity for a year, for example, then you need to start thinking about what other brands in their niche might you have worked with throughout that year, and what income you're going to be missing out on if you have to say no to them. And then make sure you incorporate those numbers into whatever you're going to charge them. For example, recently I had a brand ask for a month of exclusivity, and I thought about charging extra, and then I was like, you know what? This is kind of a unique brand. I don't tend to work with a lot of other companies doing this same kind of thing. I'm okay with, agreeing to that exclusivity for a month. So you kind of have to weigh it out in each unique situation, but in general, it's good to charge extra if they're going to use your content in their own places and if they want you to be exclusive to them. Now let's talk about another scary part, the contract. Make sure that either you provide a contract or the brand does. In a lot of cases, brands will have their standard contract that they send to all of their influencers, but if they don't offer you that, it's important that you have a contract that you're both going to sign. Now, I'm no legal expert, so I'm not going to tell you how to write this or whatever, because I don't know. But in my experience, it's important to have a formal agreement about your timelines, the project deliverables, and the payment info, like when are they going to pay you. And you also want to make sure you have an agreement on the revision process. How many revisions are they allowed to ask for? How much time do you need before the content goes live to make those revisions? All those kinds of things you want in writing with some signatures. Beyond that, you're going to have to talk to a legal expert to get information about this, but I just know I've been burned in the past by not having all this stuff formally agreed upon at the outset. Finally, let's talk about the part that we're all most excited about, the payment. Personally, I use PayPal to receive all my payments for brand deals that I do. That seems to be pretty standard in the industry. Some brands will ask you for bank account information so they can direct deposit to you. I think you can decide on a case-by-case basis what you're comfortable with. PayPal is very secure. All you need to provide is an email address. So if you aren't comfortable sending out your bank information, don't do that. I've done that in the past with brands that I know I can trust, where I have a long-term relationship. I know the people there. I know that it's going to be legit. But in most cases, PayPal is a really good option. Yes, they do have a charge for receiving money there, but any kind of online payment processing system is going to have that. Make sure that you have a payment timeline agreed upon, like I said, in the contract, and then it's important that you keep track of how long that is and when payments from brands are due. Net 30 is really, really typical in the industry. That means that they will send you the payment 30 days after you've posted your content. What I like to do is I actually have a spreadsheet in Notion where I keep track of all of my past and currently active brand deals, and I put in a date for when their payment is due with a reminder so that I can know to go and check on that date whether or not I actually ever got paid. Because especially when you ramp this up and you start having a lot of different brand deals on the go and 30 days goes past, you've got a bunch of other stuff going on, it can be kind of easy to forget. You think, oh, they probably paid me, I don't know. So it's important to have those reminders and go and double check. And on that 30th day, if you still haven't received the payment, send them an email letting them know. As a bonus, something you might want to do is add into that contract a late fee, letting them know how much you're going to add to the bill if they don't pay you on time. I personally haven't ever run into that. Like, all the brands I've worked with have paid me like either well before or on the due date, so it's all good, but I do think it's important to check. And finally, once everything is all wrapped up, you've got your payment, it can be really nice to send a thank you to the brand. You might want to send over some stats about the performance of the campaign, and then I would set yourself another reminder for maybe 3 months into the future, 6 months into the future, to go back and pitch them again. Because once you've been through the whole rigmarole of trying to get in contact with people at brands that you want to work with, that is a valuable contact to have. You want to keep that close to your chest and make sure that you are contacting them when you want to work with them again. It's so much easier to go back and work with a brand that you already have a contact with than cold emailing somebody new. So make sure that you use what you got. Go back, talk to the people you've already been in contact with, and pitch them on another campaign. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you're getting started with brand deals, let me know if you have any remaining questions in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. And of course, thanks again to Humanz for sponsoring this video. Make sure you go check them out at the link in my description. And finally, if you want to keep working towards growing your profile so that you're at the point where you feel more confident pitching brands and bringing brands to you, then you're going to want to understand your Instagram insights, because your analytics are the key to understanding your future potential for growth. So check out this video that I made all about interpreting your Instagram insights and how they can help you grow. And as always, I hope that you are having adventures and following your dreams, and I'll see you over in this video. Okay, bye.